What's going on, guys? Savage Civilian back with another new video. Today I am doing a 2-for-1 type video. I'm going to be going over two LPVO scopes that are considered very good quality, and I noticed on Reddit and some forums they are very often questioned, hey, which one should I buy? So I wanted to do a breakdown of the two, go over the main differences, the similarities, and then maybe this will help you decide which one is best for you. So in this video, we are going to be going over a Nightforce NX8, and we are going to be going over a Vortex Razor HD. The NX8 is a 1-to-8, and the Razor is a 1-to-6. Couple key features on these. I'll do the Nightforce first, and then we'll switch to the Razor. The Nightforce is a first focal plane reticle. What that means is the reticle, you know, your crosshair, changes when you change the magnification. Therefore, it's always going to be very precise. In your holdovers, the dots you see underneath it are going to be very accurate. Where when you have a second focal plane, that reticle is not going to change with the size, and it's probably only going to be accurate at, for instance, like a 1-to-6. At the 6 mark is where it'll probably be most accurate. It only has one magnification setting. So a second focal plane is probably going to be better for some casual target shooting, hunting, or more in range. So it'll be perfectly fine out to a couple hundred yards, especially if you're using like the JM BDC reticle or MIL MOA. As long as you're comfortable with reading those, you'll be okay. It's just not going to be as precise when you're at a distance other than wherever that scope is specified, normally 6x. The NX8, on the other hand, that magnification adjustment, it's going to move with you, so it's always going to be dead on no matter where you're at. So it's a little harder to see when you're down low, but once you're zoomed in and you're trying to hit a precise shot, it's going to be a lot more accurate. So it does change with the magnification, whereas on something like this, it's always very visible and right in front of your face. It's not changing as you change your magnification. Next thing about the NX8, it's significantly lighter. I believe the weight difference is about 9 ounces. They are both 30 millimeter tubes. This is daylight visible for sure. Eye relief is 3.3 inches, which there's a lot of gripe on the NX8 about the eye relief. I personally disagree with it. The number one thing you'll see on the NX8 is that it has horrible eye relief, horrible eye box. I don't have that problem. I think that's a user error or a equipment error. User error meaning that they are not practicing a consistent cheek weld. Your cheek, what I mean by that is your cheek is not on the correct spot every time that you're using your optic, and you're up here sometimes or back here or too low or too high. Or the other thing, what I mean by equipment error, is that you're not using the proper mount, or it's not properly in the right spot. I've found that normally when the back of my LPVO is directly above my charging handle, but I could still access it, that's a very good spot for my eye. And I also use a higher mount, usually like a minimum of like a 1.56, 173, sometimes even higher. With the Razor, they get a lot of praise for that very low eye relief, but that comes at a cost. Field of view on these, you're about 96 feet at 100 yards on this, and you're about 115 feet on the Razor, which is to be expected as this is a 1.8 and that's a 1.6. It's got more power. Both have very good durability, and the NX8 does have a little more power. It is a little more money. These are about $2,000 optic only. You can get them for $1,700 sometimes on sales. With tax and everything, you're still about $2,000. The Razors you can get for about $1,100-1,200 with no mount. With tax and everything, you're about $1,400. If you buy them used, they're fairly comparable. The Nightforce always tend to hold value. These will probably still be over 1,000, where these used without a mount or anything can usually be picked up for about 900 to 1,000 depending on what reticle. The eye relief on this is 4 inches, so you're about 20 to 25% more relieving. Super nice eye box at 1. The reason I don't really care about that too much is because if I'm using an LPVO setup, it's because I want magnification. I'm not really going to be shooting at 1 a lot. 2 ways that people can avoid that. If I'm shooting close by, I'm probably not going to be using the LPVO. Anything close quarters, anything within probably 50 yards or even a little more, I'm going to be running a red dot anyway. It's not mandatory. Many people will just use the LPVO and it's perfectly fine to shoot at 1x, but I run a RMR on mine, as you can see here. I like it directly above. It's also a very, very plus for people that shoot with nods, because you're always going to be dead center and you're not moving your whole helmet and everything else. So I will be using my LPVO. I'm dead on right here. I have no problems with my eye relief, and I'm still looking through the RMR as well, and I don't need to move my head at all. Where when folks use another option, which is an offset dot or an offset, even like a pistol dot, this specifically is a micro red dot from Primary Arms on like a LaRue mount. This would be another setup. You could have something like this. This would mount to your rifle. This would mount to your rifle. And you'd use this, and then anytime you wanted to switch to the dot, you would simply just tilt the rifle a tiny bit. So instead of keeping here, you're going like this. I'm a lefty, so I'd be going this way, but for a right-handed shooter, you'd be turning this way a little bit, and that would give you your dot. I don't like that as much. It's going to be a personal preference. You'll see 50-50 of people that prefer top versus rail, side, etc. They also make these candid if you prefer it on the side. I just like it all straight. To me, it works better, but again, that's just user preference. This razor does shine in the fact of glass. It is by far the nicest glass ever, unless you're going to, say, an attacker, zero compromise, but these optics are thousands more than even these are. If you want to get into a ZC or a attacker Nightforce or something like that, you're going to be in the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 range, where these are sub 2. Yeah, so with that being said, the mount is very important. Your personal preference is going to be very important to how you want that mount, and if you want something on top or if you just want a regular mount with something on the side, and you could put it on either side, you could put it in the rear. I've seen people do it. A lot of people also take the RMRs and put them in the front now, well, the back now. But again, my personal preference is if I'm shooting a rifle that is a special purpose type rifle, a DMR type rifle, any rifle that's I'm trying to shoot precise and at distance, I want better positive threat identification, anything like that, I would choose the 1.8, just for the fact that the eye relief to me has never been a problem, but I practice my cheek welds. I'm always at the same spot. The durability on the Nightforce is going to be better than any optic, and you could argue with me on that, but it's just factual. The warranty is going to be phenomenal on both. I'm not going to knock Vortex's warranty. It's cream of the crop as well. The Nightforce, however, holds value like no other scope. You can use it for years and sell it and always get pretty damn close to what you paid for it. So my personal preference, like I said, is going to be the 1.8, only for the fact that the little bit of box that you get a benefit with at 1 isn't really something that I'm going to be concerned with, because I'm not really using the LPVO up close. I'm using my RMR for that. Not that I couldn't. It definitely is a little better on the razor. But to be able to get a little more durability, a much better reticle for accuracy purposes, and an extra 2x zoom, I think the NX8 wins. Again, it's personal preference. It's going to be depending on what you're using it for, what your budget is, how you want to set it up, if you're going to have a second dot or not. If you're not going to run a second dot at all, The Razor might be a little better just because, again, it is a little more forgiving. You got about 20% more eye relief and you have a little more focal area. But that focal area is at the sacrifice of being a 1.6 versus a 1.8. Any questions, feel free to drop a comment below and I will respond to them as fast as I can. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. You guys have been hammering it with views and subscribers. We're so close to 3,000. First couple videos I was putting up, we're getting a couple hundred views. Now we're getting 10, 20,000, which is awesome. I really appreciate you guys for that. And I'll see you on the next video.